Good morning from Greensboro, North Carolina. It is the conservative Pelican here, or I think for the next couple of days, I'll call myself the frozen conservative Pelican. It is 10:45 on Monday morning, and it is only 20 degrees outside. The high today is 30, going to be about 32. And our normal high for this time of year is about 48 to 50 degrees, somewhere in there. So we're about 16 to 20 degrees below where we should be. And next couple of days, I'm going to say a special prayer that my car starts, because when you start getting these temperatures that you start getting below 32, you start worried about the car battery a little bit. Hopefully it'll work. Today I'm off, but going to a meeting later with Becky Gray of the John Locke Foundation, and I'll try to post a report on my YouTube channel a little bit later on today after that event. What I want to talk today about is I had a thought, and a lot of times, especially if you're like me, you're an introvert. You do a lot more thinking than you do actually talking out loud. You have these thoughts that just kind of get matriculated into your brain, implanted in your brain, and you just want to come on here like me on my YouTube channel and just talk about them. About 2 weeks ago, I was at the first ever North Carolina Transportation Summit in Raleigh. This was at the Raleigh Convention Center. And let me just say that the Raleigh Convention Center is a very nice building, but it's located right on the very, very southern edge of downtown Raleigh. So in other words, if you ever have an event at the convention center, there's nothing but hotels and parking garages, but the main thing is that there's nowhere to eat by the convention center. It's like it's the only convention center I've ever been to, and I've been to plenty. I've been to Charlotte, Columbus, Ohio, and Baltimore, DC, and probably a couple others I can't think of right now. But the Raleigh Convention Center which was only built 10 years ago, which maybe explains why there's no restaurants there yet. But still, there should be restaurants by a convention center. The only Raleigh Convention Center is the only convention center that I can think of that has like no places to eat there. It's crazy. They should have put it in it's great. It's great that it's on the outer edge of downtown because it's very easy. It's like 2 minutes off Interstate 40. Yeah, it's very easy to get in, get out, but there's no place to eat. And which, if you're like me, and these conferences, a lot of them have meals. And the thing about this conference was the meals were included. Like, I did breakfast one day, it was okay, but a lot of like the lunches, the place gets so crowded and surrounded by all these people and all these bureaucrats, and it's like, oh my gosh. And me, I'm this guy who works at a big retailer right now. I don't work for the government right now or any bureaucratic agencies. Okay, but what I want to talk to you about is Governor Cooper. He was the lead-off speaker at this conference. This was a 2-day conference held on Wednesday, January 9th, and then Thursday, January 10th. And Governor Roy Cooper was the first speaker was Secretary of Transportation, Jim Trogdon, who gave, you would think that him being the Secretary of Transportation would give a little bit more, his talk would be insightful, and you would learn some new things about, different highway projects across the state. But no, it was a It was a love letter, basically, to Governor Roy Cooper. So then Roy Cooper, Trog introduced Roy Cooper, okay, and people clap for him. And then about a half second later, the whole room of like 1,000 people, everybody stands up and gives this guy a standing ovation. Everybody except me. Yeah. Now, fortunately, I was sitting in the very back row, so it was easy to not give him a standing ovation. Now, look, I consider myself a very polite person, okay? And I will clap for elected officials. I don't care how much I may disagree with them. I'll always at least clap for an elected official when they're introduced. But standing ovation is a completely different ballgame. And Roy Cooper, governor, excuse me, whatever you want to call him, Cooper, blah, 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 Roy Rooster, for all I care. Whoever is going to run for governor on the Republican side in 2020, the number one key, if they're going to win, they're going to have to do this thing I'm going to tell you right now. And it is, they have to make Roy Cooper, a man of the bureaucrats, a man of the government. If they let Roy get away with this down-home Southern everyday, the guy who you see at the town hardware store, the guy you see at Walmart every day, they're going to lose. But they need to tie Roy, in other words, they need to say Roy Cooper is a man bought and paid for by the bureaucracy. And what I mean by that is look, the Republicans, I'm sorry to say, in North Carolina, the first 2 years that Cooper's been in office, they've given Roy Cooper pretty much everything he could ask for. And then what does Roy Cooper do? Well, he goes like Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I want more, I want more, I want more. And then, of course, whine and whine. Unfortunately, the Republicans say, no, that's all you get, Roy. Fortunately for them, they show some bit of restraint. But then Roy Cooper, of course, will go to the courts and sue. Now, but the big thing, another thing that I'll say is that the Republican nominee for governor, they must say that Roy Cooper does not represent the interest of the common North Carolinian. What do I mean by that? Well, you look at Roy Cooper. There were 2 constitutional amendments on the ballot last November. As soon as they came out from the legislature, he went to court and sued. Now, what he should have done is said, like a lot of people, like a lot of elected officials say, okay, it's going to be on the ballot. The people are going to have a vote, and I'm going to trust the people. He didn't do that. He went right to the courts. Oh, and then this is the biggest thing the Republicans got to do is voter ID passes. And it wins like 56-44, okay, by a good, healthy 12-point margin. And instead of Roy Cooper saying, well, voter ID is the law of the land, okay, I'm going to move on with my life. No, Roy goes to the courts, okay, and he says, screw you, North Carolina, screw the 56% of you, the overwhelming majority of you who want voter ID. No. I want my way, and my way is I want to go to the courts, and I'm going to overturn voter ID. Now, fortunately, so far, voter ID has been law, but we'll see what happens next couple of years. But, they have to tie. Roy Cooper is not a man of the people. He's a man of the government bureaucrats, like the ones I saw, standing in, cheering for Roy Cooper at this transportation summit. And but I will tell you that Pat McCrory, if he is the Republican nominee again, he's going to have trouble representing the people, okay? And if he is the Republican nominee for governor in 2020, he's going to have a lot of difficulty, okay? McCrory cannot be the Republican nominee if the Republicans want to win in 2020. If they want to lose in 2020, they can go ahead and let Pat McCrory be the nominee. But look, the thing about Pat McCrory is, guess who was right next to Roy Cooper condemning the two constitutional amendments, the one about the elections board and then the one about the judicial appointments. Well, it was Pat McCrory's, right there between Roy and Bev and the Democrats. And unfortunately, Jim Martin, who was a guy who I respect a lot, and I think was a really good governor, back in his time from 88 to 92, he was there too. I was like, okay, whatever. But, so McCrory, but he turned two reliable Republican voting areas against him when he ran for re-election in 2016. First of all, it was the northern Charlotte suburbs, okay, which should be reliably Republican, but he decided to press ahead with the I-77 toll lanes, and that section in 2016 flipped from red to blue. But, of course, now, though, Roy Cooper hasn't lifted a finger for the I-77. But if McCrory runs again, you're going to have people in the northern Charlotte suburbs who are just going to stay home this time. They're not going to vote for the Democrat. They're not going to vote for the Republican. Another area of the state that McCrory alienated was Wilmington. He essentially killed the film industry in Wilmington, took a lot of jobs from Wilmington. And guess what? That county went from red in 2012 to blue in 2016 also. So there you have it. Final point. Final point. This GOP chairman election is in June. It's going to happen June 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere in there, that second, the 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere in there in Concord, North Carolina. If you're a conservative like me, okay, and you do not want to see McCrory run for governor again, or you want a successful conservative primary challenger to Tom Tillis. Okay. One of those two things, or maybe you want both. If you want both, then hey, great. You must, first thing you got to do is, if you're not a Republican, you need to go down to your local county board of elections office and register as a Republican voter. You have until the 31st of this month by 5 o'clock is the deadline. So you have about 10 days, but I suggest you probably do it. Well, they're closed today for MLK Day, but just tomorrow, okay? First thing, go down there and register as Republican. Okay. You go to your county convention and check with the NCDOT website. Find your county's GOP website or Facebook page and find out when the county convention is. If don't, try to ask around, that sort of thing. Go to your county convention in March. Okay. And then after that, you need to go to your district convention and try to get elected as at-large member to the executive committee. And that way, that'll also help, hopefully, a new chairman in June. It'll make life easier for them if there's a challenge from the establishment like we saw with Hassan Hornet. But the most important thing is make sure you're registered Republican by January 31st. Go to your county convention, get elected as a delegate to the state convention, attend the state convention June 8th, 9th, 10th in Concord, North Carolina. and make sure you vote against Robin Hayes, okay? Because if Robin, there's two trains of thought, here. One is Robin Hayes gets reelected. Guess what that means? I guarantee within like a couple weeks, if Robin Hayes gets reelected by July, Pat McCrory's going to run for governor again. Okay. Okay, that I can almost guarantee. Okay, so you're gonna have that. You're and then you're gonna have a lot of wishy-washy activists who are like, oh, I hope we can find somebody for Tom Tillis to primary, but Tom Tillis also has a very easy road to re-election in 2020 in the primary. Okay, the general, yes. If Tom Tillis is the Republican nominee in November 2020, yes, I will vote for him. I may need to go to my polling place with a 10-foot pole and push the button with that instead of my fingers. But yes, I will do that. Okay. Now, if we get a new chairman, guess what happens? McCrory probably, hopefully, will stay out of politics, okay, or at least the elected. If he wants to run for, a district or a county chairmancy, more power to him. But if Robin Hayes gets defeated, I'm about 90% sure he's not going to run for governor in 2020. And also, the new chairman is going to, I would think, I'm not sure, but I would think that he would help find a candidate to go after Tom Tillis in the March 2020 primary. So remember, okay, I've kind of gotten away from this a little bit, but remember, the Republican candidate for governor in 2020 must have guess what? This is not Democrat versus Republican. This is a far left liberal socialist bureaucrat who only represents government and the wealthy versus a down home southern North Carolina who represents common folk all across the state, represents farmers, bankers, pharmacists, tech, IT people, everybody across the state. Okay, common folk. Man of the bureaucrats is Roy Cooper. Conservative candidate for governor is a man of the people. That is all. For the conservative and little frozen Pelican, I am Bobby Crawford. Thanks for watching.